Dearest Yari, what are you dancing today?
Um, I am dancing. I think I'm dancing the blinking dance, the reverse blinking from
Susan
Susan.
Scentless. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm dancing that. But I'm also dancing some rhythm, thanks to you, some sort of running, walking rhythm, but also, yeah, the parallel. And you're like doing some. What are you dancing today?
I'm doing some sort of repetitive aerobics, almost like jumping around. Yeah. I think I wanted to apologize for the technical difficulties last dance reflection, because the broadband in my whole area disappeared, so we were cut off. Uh, but I hope you can forgive us, and that this more energetic dancing can
Make up.
yeah, make it up.
Right.
Ah.
Let's make it up.
It's fun. Yeah, to find these motivations to move, to feel bouncing against the room and the surfaces.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
The
and
the blood
it
the blood flowing also, right?
yeah. I mean, there's also the becoming aware of different senses. Um, if you don't jump, you don't get contact with the bones in the same way as sort of moving slowly or fluidly. Uh, just like with closing the eyes and those things. Ah, ah, oi, oi, oi. I had a question because at the end of the episode this week, I asked, "Who are you dancing for?"
Yeah,
When you dance, you know.
yeah.
Um, Actually, Benny was researching this a little bit, like to dance for something,
Mm.
and exactly like when you close your eyes, then when the sensation goes inwards, yeah, where does the relational quality of dancing go? I mean, we dance with our eyes closed a lot, me and you, because we do authentic movement practice together.
Yeah,
And then there's a clear, like, I'm dancing for Yari, um, to witness, to
yeah.
witness me, maybe.
I think it's when I close my eyes, the dancing um it could really goes into a lot of different places, and it could be for different reasons and for different uh yeah people. I feel like because the closing the eyes, unless I th it means building a geography,
Mm.
building a space, a landscape that it also could stay, but could also change very fast.
Yeah,
It depends really what really drive the dance, or which system, if it's a system that builds or a system that unbuilds, or that is, of course the body is fragmented, so probably,
yeah,
yeah, there is a lot of changes. But I saw many times I witness you dancing, being busy with authentic movement in one thing for
yeah.
maybe 20-30 minutes. So
It's true. It's true. But I think sometimes that's my way of trying to relate to authenticity is by I propose a question and I try to stay with it, or to stay with a conception of authenticity, be it like the breath or slowness or a shape, a form. And I try to sort of understand it in its authenticity rather than maybe refreshing or moving away. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like, yeah,
understand. I understand.
yeah. Do you perform ever with your eyes closed? Have you done this? Was your
Uh,
master's project with your eyes closed?
it was.
It was.
It
Yeah.
was Alf with the. I mean, the final performance was Alf with the eyes closed and Alf with the eyes half open.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think. I think the
You
final.
remember? I mean, it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the final. I decided the second part I would open
Mm.
a bit my eyes.
And how was it? Like, what did you discover by having your eyes closed for that long and doing it for an audience? Were you liberated? Were you alone? How did it change your relationship to the audience and to the dancing itself?
Well, it's very interesting because I am a very visual person in terms of dance. What
Hmm.
I mean that I mostly dance in relation to the architecture, in relation to forms and shapes and the landscape. So, um, so this really maintained my dance. It was still in the dance.
Mm.
I was actually I mean, the score was I would go through certain kind of body forms, like, oh, I have to achieve now in 5 minutes this
Mm.
position. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, there will be a position there. Uh, uh,
How did you know it was 5 minutes? Did you have like some sound or something that?
no, it was no, it was yeah, I knew. Well, I had a different change of light.
Yeah, okay. So you could
Yeah.
sense it through your eyelids.
Yeah, yeah. I could
Wow.
sense, okay, now the light is there. Okay, that means the 5 minutes are just yeah, changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of shapes. I was into a projection, so the shapes would change place in the projection. So I would know when
Yeah.
I am in this place and with this
Yeah.
change, it means the my eyes will be, yeah, covered and so on.
That's so interesting. So you were still working visually through the projection
Exactly,
because
exactly.
the projection was sort of anchoring the choreography in a
The
way. Like
score, yeah,
yeah, the sort of spatial composition is sort of
yeah,
anchored in the projection because you can sense even with your eyes closed,
yeah.
like are you in the dark or are you in the light type thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. It's very
But it was
cool.
not the only things. It was also that I had the path under my feet.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I would also know where to go because under my feet I had following this
Like
material, the
tape.
strap. Yeah, sort of a tape, but with this material that tissues has, and they strap to close and open.
Velcro. Velcro.
Velcro, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There was Velcro on the floor, black
Yeah.
on black, so it was also not super visible, but also visible.
Yeah, yeah.
There was also a lot of on the floor. There was also, and that was a visual things. It was also a lot of I would put dust, so
Ah.
you would see the trace I would let. You would see the dust because
How
the
would you
projection would
create
come.
dust? Like talcum powder or something, some sort of powder?
No, literally taking a carpet and bring it on stage,
Really?
and yeah,
And then shaking it.
yeah, and shaking it,
Did you ever get told off by Orlando? Bless
yeah.
Orlando, our great hero and friend from the janitor from Escort or from Doc.
Yeah,
Did he
I,
ever sort of have a,
and I don't, no,
Yari, what have you done?
no, no, I was always excited about anything I would ask for.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah, no, Orlando was, yeah,
what an
no,
amazing spirit and
yeah,
person to have
amazing
had.
spirit.
How he
Yeah.
became a sort of a feature of what made the building, like
Yeah,
how it functioned and worked.
yeah.
Yeah, that was very sad to see him pass because I don't believe he was very old when he passed away, right?
No, but also yeah, he was around 70, maybe it was 78, 79.
Yeah. What was your fondest memory of Orlando? Do you have one?
Well, I think the funnest was the last time I met him,
Hmm.
and yeah, I was in his house, and
Ah, really?
yeah, and he told me, "These are my kids," and then he showed me all his books.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of books were they?
Uh,
Like
a lot of
novels and
yeah, a lot of South American realism, I think.
oh
A lot
wow.
of South American authors, but not only. I mean, also a lot of
Yeah,
poets, Swedish
yeah.
poets. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I would often have quite philosophical conversations with him, but in Swedish.
Ah,
He was one of the people um, we would practice in Swedish, and my Swedish was terrible, and I'd never know if we fully understood each other, but we would talk anyway. And for me, it was a very long relationship as well. I knew him for what felt like a long time, and it was always very kind. Sorry, I've moved away from. I'm working with associations. This is like Sarah
of course.
Lindstrom's podcast with the children. They just
Well,
banana,
you have eyes
fruit.
closed. You have eyes closed. This is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you follow your path through,
Yeah.
and the path
For
can change.
for the people who are listening, I decided to close my eyes to sort of
Yeah.
honor the what we're discussing, and also to try and remember um your um your performance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
I was screaming a lot, so I think
uh,
this part you're not really busy with.
but also it reminds me because I mean at the beginning I recognize like some people are visually impaired already, so that there's a very little sense in limiting eyesight for them. So I was sort of encouraging that people limit other senses. But in fact, you do this when you warm up. You put in earplugs.
Yeah, it's true. When I warm up, I put earplugs to listen, but to listen to my breath or to listen and to
Okay,
kind
yeah.
of take out the other
But I'd imagine you
sounds.
still feel the breath as well. Like it becomes more tactile. Is that a sense? The tactile sense, the touch sense, right? Or
Yeah, it's a good point. It's true. It's true. It's through the sounds, tact, the tact come stronger,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And
And
so I feel in sensation, tactile sensation to my sound. Yeah.
yes. What happens with your vision when you're working on your breath like this? Do you have your eyes open or are they closed or?
Yeah, I have my eyes open, but they might be a bit more toward a bit closing and like half open or half close.
Mhm.
So it's also a way to cool down my eye,
Yeah.
my visual.
And I mean, how the gaze lands and functions is sort of so interesting in contemporary dance. Like I find, we sort of drift and we can get into these somatic spaces where eye contact becomes very strange in a way. It enters into a different logic, physical
Mhm.
logic, which breaks away from like this explorative space. So I was in the park. I was just telling you before we recorded, with was dancing for one of the podcasts that will come out later this summer. And in the dancing, we were making eye contact. It was important to make eye contact, I felt, and it changes so much, the dancing, that the eyes are part of the communication, so to speak, a part of what is happening. Whereas in contemporary dance, I'm often find myself like I could. It's almost like the origin is coming for me a little bit from having eyes closed sometimes, like. And then when I'm working with the eyes whilst I'm dancing, I'm using them in a way to sort of to as a part of a material of the body, so to speak. Like they can become sort of glazed or drifting. They lack focus and attention because I'm maybe internally working. I don't know. When you say you're visual, do you think about your gaze, like what the eyes are attending to and focusing on, and how they perform? Like, is this something that you practiced or learned at school? We were always told to look towards the horizon. Imagine that there's a that there's a horizon that you're looking out to. When we were taught, when I was taught ballet when I was very young.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have a sort of like 7, 8, 9 different gaze I am actively working.
Yeah, wow.
Or more as a warm up, maybe. But yeah.
Aha,
Yeah.
really? Can you
Yeah.
can you name one? Are they that well articulated, or is it just
Sort of. Yeah, I think so. I mean, there is the gaze on my body, so I look my body while I'm dancing.
I love
Mostly
this.
like, the hands,
Mm-hmm.
but also,
The
anything. It's
legs, the
more like,
feet. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Then I have a gaze that is it's called the shy gaze,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm looking kind of down most of the time. And also this really might also change a lot my movement. I mean, all the gaze change the way I move, obviously. This one is kind of cooling down, so it's a bit more a marking way, or it's like not super aware of the around the surrounding. Uh, it's toward the somatic experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not a somatic gaze. That is maybe the next step more in, where they
Yeah.
could be even like half gaze at this point, as I already explained a
Yeah.
bit, or even closed eyes. Then I have the cool gaze, I think.
Cool.
The cool gaze
Yeah.
is like I take really the audience as almost a confrontation, or like I'm confronting them, but it's a bit that kind of maybe entertaining gaze. It could be a
Yeah.
smile, but it could also be cool. It's also it's like, I'm here to give you something virtuous, or like that somehow I'm not afraid of you also. So it's a confrontation. It's a bit in that, I think.
Like there's a communication there, right? The
Yeah.
communicative element.
Yeah. That it's also a bit like on that kind of different power relationship somehow.
Yeah.
And there is also the equal. I recognize you as an audience. We recognize each other. I'm not a sort of equal. I don't know if what that really means, but like, I'm also shy or whatever. I am also vulnerable, but I know you're there.
Yeah.
Then there is even the projection where I do speculate on what actually the audience is.
Ah. Well,
Where they are, I
you
think this
speculate
is,
what they are. You mean you
yeah,
say?
yeah, I think this is a bit like, I think I took it from Manon Sanctin.
Yeah.
It's where basically the audience is not the audience.
Hmm.
I mean, if I am they are something, they are something else. They are in my world, and
Yeah.
if I am busy with a narrative, or if I'm busy with the emotional landscape, then they
Mm.
are part of this, and I use them. So I still see them. Huh? They're still like see, but it's something else.
Wow, we could do a whole workshop on just
It's true. It's
these
true. We could.
these gazes that you work with.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Watch this space. I'm running out of workshop material. This is perfect.
Yes. But I found this workshop, it was so good. It was very fast,
Yeah.
but it was full of things. It was like, oh wait, oh my God. And I love that you take this workshop and you make first step.
Mm.
And also you put in the first step, maybe even the blinking reversed already. So already was a lot, It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, okay. Um, by the way, the blinking, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because dance, or a lot of dance, came also from, okay, this is first position, this is second position, make a
Hmm.
connection.
Mm.
Like, yeah, the
Mm.
typical, like that.
Mm.
You should do that workshop, like
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
like the first choreography. And so the blinking is a bit like that, getting the snapshot, working with photo memory a bit also somehow.
Mm.
Uh, um,
No,
um,
exactly. I mean, and the reason I kept it broad, I remember, and it's also even more broad because I sort of tentatively say, remember other senses. If you don't have to work with this with just sight, limiting sight, but it's also to do with what people need and to give people the versatility to sort of explore for themselves um what it is what's useful for them and what's going to be comfortable for them. I remember I pitched a workshop um maybe a few years ago, and the person I was pitching to was like, oh, but a lot of people find closing their eyes really terrifying. And for me, I was like, oh, and I never got the workshop. It was almost as though it was just because the workshop was based around closing the eyes. It was like too much for them to imagine it working. Because they felt like it was such a daring, such a scary thing for some people to do. And I think it's probably true, there's probably a case for that. So I think I was very aware of that when I was writing this workshop.
mm,
Because
mm.
I mean, I do wonder like how much we take for granted as people who have dance in our lives. Somehow, maybe that's what professional dance training or being a professional or having being a dancer becomes is that you just um, take for granted certain things. Uh,
Mm.
Whereas maybe if people haven't had as much of a dance experience, they don't take for granted like the, oh they perhaps don't have access to closing their eyes in other contexts than maybe sleep or relaxation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I also think there's a nice basic workshop you could do. It's about improvisation. I mean, you did already. I'm sorry, I'm not. But what I mean, like that for many people, non-dancers, to
Yeah,
improvise, it's already like, oh my God, what that is. You know, like how.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there sometimes when I give a class, I am like, okay, how do I make sense? Like, how do they feel that they can move, and what is this motor of sort of automatic dancing, automatic writing? You know, it's
Mm,
there. No, it's that kind of like how to
mm,
activate that motor of
mm,
the body is already dancing. The body can
mhm,
you can follow the body. You know, like
mhm, mhm.
and sometimes
Yeah,
very often is through walking. Very
yeah,
often, I mean,
yes, yeah,
yeah, but there is
yeah.
this like how to
The
activate that.
typical walk around the room.
Right.
Yeah, start to meet people, start to meet your own
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
No.
No, I haven't. I think actually the difference between dance and theatre really helpful in thinking about that. You know, in theatre they come with a script, and everything points towards the script. Often, there's plenty of theatre that doesn't do that. But in dance, the material, especially contemporary dance, is what's already in the room, and especially with improvisation, it's often well, what's already here, what's already in motion, what is
Yeah.
already spatially accessible, or what are the spatial conditions, what are the temporal conditions, what are the visual conditions, what are the sensorial conditions that are already acting and sort of happening. And I think that's why when I think I get maybe I do jump a little bit too quickly towards like choreography, and improvisation. What is their relationship? But I think that's why I do it, is because of this sense that in contemporary dance improvisation, we tend to work with what is already in the room, what is already happening, and that you could call choreography. You know, like an expanded idea of what is already choreographing, what is already social choreography, what is already architectural choreography, what is already physiological choreography, sensorial choreography, perceptive choreography. Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
right. It's such a tricky it's a tricky thing to explain. And yet, like in street dance and even folk, you know, there are elements of improvisation. They perhaps work with a vocabulary, and they work with the vocabulary of the music as well. Perhaps you could consider it like that as well. Like the music offers a condition, you know, the fiddle or the accordion or whatever instrument it is you're dancing to. It's something you keep returning to, like a
Mm.
vocabulary,
Mm.
and you keep returning to that rhythm and that interplay with the live musician. And there's a conversation with those elements that structure the what is folk or what is of street dance. Whereas the I guess that also exists in contemporary dance, right? Um,
Mm. Do you
aside
think
from
so? What is contemporary dance? Mm.
yeah, but there's a
Yeah.
what is because it becomes about an idea of or ideas of phenomenology, like phenomenological conditions, like the body itself, the somatic body. And of course, there are different entries into the somatic body which shape the kind of movements that come out, and a vocabulary becomes sort of established by
Mm.
that. Like you say, with walking, you know, it becomes an aesthetic and a vocabulary that we then
Yeah.
use as a way to sort of start this conversation and dialogue with improvisation.
Yeah.
But I definitely know, like, I was at a samba night. Did I tell you this? I went
No.
It was like a Brazilian friend invited me to a samba night, and I have no idea. Like maybe you do, maybe you can teach me. But I, I, I thought it was a partner dance, but maybe it was just a samba band that was playing, and we were going there to dance, like you would at a disco or in a concert or something. But the sense I got was I was being taught to do these steps, like a step, 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 step type thing. And uh, whenever I did them, they were wrong. Like it felt like and I couldn't distinguish how it was different to what I was being shown or what I've been taught, It was really interesting that there was such a specificity that I couldn't recognize, that maybe I just hadn't been within that vocabulary long enough to recognize where the specificity resided. And so I agree, like when you say, does contemporary dance have a vocabulary? No, not in the same way as that, perhaps. Like because but perhaps in some way, like maybe in the samba context, as I felt it was really specific, like there's such a strong, like, no, you improvise or you dance around these steps. You can play within this really tight vocabulary. Whereas in contemporary dance, the vocabulary is so broad, it's harder to say like what is in and out. Right? Yeah. But
Yeah.
how do you feel like when you do partner dancing? Do you feel like because you do tango, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do, do you feel like you're improvising?
Yeah, I also because I'm a follower, or mostly I am a follower. So when I lead, I mean I'm a super beginner and I'm quite bad, and so I feel very stiff and I feel like like a beginner. But as a follower since the beginning, I didn't feel like a beginner, although I knew. So I knew like I don't feel like beginner, but I have to remember I'm a beginner
Mm, mm.
because I was just following. I was like, oh, because you don't you follow the person, but if you don't understand what they lead you, you don't see it, or the person has to adjust to you, so the leader also follow what the follower can follow.
Yeah.
So it's action reaction constantly. And mm, so I had just to remind myself, I don't know the dance, I am improvising constantly, and some of the stuff enter my body, some other no.
Mm.
So I also took not very many classes. So my point was exactly learning the social dance in the social dance most of the time also.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is easier as a follower, of course.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, as a man following a bit less because I have less opportunity because still the depending where, but the social is still a bit very gendered where
Right.
men for example don't want to lead men, and it's also a bit homophobic then.
Hmm.
Um, but it is with the queer community, then it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's very interesting. We're talking about um, these vocabularies, frames or whatever. But yeah, exactly. Like patriarchy, um, can act within the vocabulary, like it can perform itself through frames and structures. And that's why a sort of a plastic approach or a critical approach to structures, systems, vocabularies can sometimes provide us the tools to sort of challenge these hierarchies of domination, like patriarchy, racism, sexism, ableism. Um, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, the choreography of the space of the tango. I mean, I was very excited. I was more excited to be in this very heterosexual normative places, because then I could see so much more the choreography.
Mm.
The information was very clear, who was invisible to whom, who had a lot of attention, how women would use likability to get dances. So young women that don't know how to dance, how they learn is also because they're nice, they're liked by men that have a lot of experience. How
Okay. Wow.
how the queer, how the women that stays there forever waiting for a dance that never happened or happened twice in one night, also then in one moment decide to become leaders, and how I
Right.
could also take that desires and swim it. So how I would enter, I would meet someone and that they are convinced that I'm a leader, and I say, yeah, but I'm not a leader, and they're like, I would, but do you want to still try to lead me? And then there was this like question about, the form also again, the milonga, the social, it's so important. You don't want to try stuff, and how do we deal with those values? Which values we want to bring with us or not? I mean, this is also
Yeah.
in the queer community is very clear. Which kind of value when we queer a dance, let's say,
Yeah.
uh, which ballet, tango, whatever,
Yeah.
what do
Yeah.
we bring from that dance? Which value we decide? Yeah, this we bring, and this no, this we change. We don't consider that as a value, another
Yeah.
value. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also one of the critiques, I think, of like anarchism, which maybe can be interpreted as sort of a letting go of every structure. That nothing remains. There's no specificity at all, um, which is perhaps not wholly fair. Um, when we think about plasticity of the brain, or the plasticity as a concept, it gives form, it receives form, and it can destroy form. So it doesn't completely annihilate structural um, structure. It just doesn't maintain a dominance over the structure. So, but yeah, like often the struggle for queer identity or marginalized identity is trying to articulate, or like trying to provide some sort of structure to, or specificity to their experience that can function as it does for the sort of heterosexual normative uh, body person. Yeah, I'm not saying anything clear here, but or like anything radical, I guess, or that changes anything. But
Uh, well, it's good to remind us which kind of choreography.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
plasticity. It's interesting what you're speaking about, because uh, there is no blank, there is no
mm,
refresh, really.
exactly,
There is no
exactly.
revolution that will bring us. I don't know, whatever. I don't need to
Hmm.
go into such a big political things, but like
Mm,
there is always something before that is be very strong or not,
mm,
or considered strong but is not, or everybody think it's impossible to change but it's actually easy.
yeah,
Um, And then how do we relate to that? How do we want to change? And if we want to change, because
yeah,
yeah, change is also, because if plasticity means changing and being changed at the same time, then
hmm,
maybe you are changing and you're not changing right now. I don't. It's
mm,
mutual, of course, it's mutual. But what I mean
mm,
that the stability and the change goes together. In the moment you're changing something, something else is stabilizing,
mm,
and
mm,
that's and what we build on, I suppose, or at
mm,
least in my simplicity of
yeah,
thinking and doing. in
Yeah.
2000.
So exactly as you say, something will exist. It like that's what I think that's a really powerful thing with plasticity is it includes destruction, but not as something that means the so it's easy with the brain, right? Like when there is a destructive condition in the brain, the person doesn't disappear, you know, they don't vanish. There might be an absence of form, but the form then takes the shape of the absence, and so that the person is formed by the stroke or the damage, the traumatic event that happens in the brain. Um, it's it's a transformation, but it doesn't lose. Nothing is lost, or things might be lost, but it still remains. The form is still um, there, and it's this sort of plastic form that sort
And
of
reorganizational is so constant.
yeah
Reorganization. I mean, the
yeah
possibility for that, and I mean, we see when people have strokes and how they
yeah
can recover also in that sense, or reorganize, re have a connection. I mean, like in that
hmm
sense, recluster. I mean, it's
yeah.
also.
No, absolutely. No, it's fascinating. So we close our eyes, we dance.
Oh my God.
Uh, um, yeah. So what are you still dancing with, Yari? Thank you so much for conversing with me. I feel like these a lot of open questions and unanswered questions, but I really enjoyed mm, touching into your MA work through this and actually coming up with new exercises. Your definitions or your warm-up practices around the gaze. I love this. We have to work on this. I
Let's do
want to
it.
work on this.
Let's do it.